Hello and welcome to part 3 of the Orc Codex Unit Breakdown Review Summary. In this video I will be talking about the different types of elites that the Codex offers. That will be Burner Boys, Tank Busters, Knobs, Mega Knobs, Commandos and Boss Snickrot. So I'll be talking about all of those. Here's a selection of elites that I have. I've got some Burner Boys here that I believe that is not really a legit squad there, because there is a rocket launcher orc in there, but we could just call him a mech for those kind of purposes. But either way, normal squad will. So we'll talk about Burner Boys. Normal squad will consist of about 5 orcs. That you can have an additional 10. Their points, though, they've gone up from the last codex, and given the fact that now power weapons have this, that they're not AP1 anymore. I mean, they don't just take away your armor save. They have an armor penetration now, don't they? And I think they're still armor penetration 2. Armor penetration 3, and they're two-handed, so you don't really get any extra bonuses. They used to be awesome when they had armor penetration 2. Well, they just removed an invulnerable save, because before, when Terminators didn't have a invulnerable save, that would get rid of them. Then they got an invulnerable save, and that was just negated. And people thought, well, at least you can take out people with Artificer armor or other armor saves of 2 without an invulnerable save. And now they've just been nerfed even more, because obviously now they've got armor penetration 3, which for something that fixes vehicles and it's just stupidly hot, it's like a big blowtorch kind of thing that can be used as a flamer weapon or in close combat. I think armor penetration 3 is just, it's a bit silly. The fact that it can only melt through Space Marine armor, you would then think, well, then all the vehicles should just be on Space Marine armor or a little bit better, and then orcs wouldn't be able to cut them up and all the rest of it, because these are the guys that do that with those weapons. But anyway, fluff aside, they've gone up in price. You can put mechs in the squad, which is awesome. You can put them in a truck. They've got all the normal rules and the stick bombs and things like that. Yeah, they got the t-shirt save, they've got a couple of attacks, and they've got the same kind of stats as normal orc boys. Best tactic really is get a squad of 10 of them and put them in a truck, or even 12, and then drive somewhere where there's lots of high armor targets, like just normal Space Marines. You get 10 of these, pop them out, and assault them, and don't bother using the flamers. But if you assault them and then they wipe out the squad, and then another squad charges them, obviously you've got that Overwatch with the flamers, which is, the wall of fire and all that jazz is really, really decent. So good little squad there. Right, Tank Busters. Don't have any Tank Busters, but there's a picture of some there that will quench your thirst for looking at them. I think they're really awesome. Again, like with the burners, specific tool for a specific job. You really need to put them in trucks as well, or even battle wagons. You can put both of these squads in battle wagons, but then you're taking up a heavy support as well, just to complement this elite choice. But it's up to you. The squad is 5 of them. Points wise, they actually are less points now. So they're a couple of points less than they used to be. Again, take 5 of them. Their stats are pretty much the same as the burners, except for obviously they've got these. They've all got rocket launchers as standard, the stick bombs, and they've all got tank buster bombs as well. I think they have to be clamped in place though, a bit like melter bombs. They can't be thrown. Imagine throwing a melter bomb. And you can have 3 bomb squigs in the squad. I definitely would go for that, because they've got this scuttle, where they just run at a tank or whatever and blow it up. I think that's just awesome, and I'd get a squad of these just for that, to see how funny that would be. So they're quite a cheap unit. You can afford to get 10 of these for about 100-ish points with your bomb squigs and things, and then they can just, you know, drive around the battlefield if they get in combat, just firing and, you know, detonating on tanks. And at about 100 points, you know, your normal Predator is about 140 odd, and, you know, they could really get a prize for a Land Raider of about 250 to 300. So they'll get their points back, even if they just blow up a couple of rhinos. But you really don't want to be aiming these guys at troops, or not really heavily armoured targets either. I mean, you know, heavy armoured, you know, infantry. You want to be, right, where's the armour, where's things with hull points, go there. That's what you got to be using these guys for. That's Tank Busters, they're awesome. Now let's talk about knobs. Yeah. This is probably the funniest part of all of my parts, I suppose. But knobs with a Z. Knobs are elites. You can get a squad of them there. I have a squad. I have a couple of squads actually. You can see them. Obviously they're unpainted. But I have a big squad there and another squad. These are from the Stormclaw, which I think are awesome because they come with like double-handed, you know, huge choppers. I think that's awesome, that. And they come with these kind of weapons, where if you really wanted, I wouldn't see any reason why you couldn't use that as a flash gitz, to be honest. I mean, you know, very similar, same kind of size. So they're the Orc knobs, and I've got some more Mega knobs. The new Mega knobs are awesome. You really need to get some if you've got an Orc army. That's with the kill saws. So you can have them with plenty of attacks, and they can just jump out of a transport and just murder things. It's a shame that you can't put them in like a Gorkanaut and jump them out and then attack everything, because it's not an assault vehicle, even though the doors open outwards. But that's something that they must have overlooked, along with the Power Claw, which apparently is the same, you know, a similar strength to a normal Power Claw. I think it's like strength 10 or something, rather than a, you know, a D weapon, which they missed out on also. Anyway, we'll carry on talking about these. So knobs, what would you use them for? Well, they're kind of like your cheap Terminators. I mean, Mega knobs are your cheap Terminators, really, because they're 40 points a model. So you can get a squad of them for about 200 points, and then you've got like your little upgrades and things that you can put on. So they're cheap Terminators. They don't have their invulnerable save, so you really got to put them in a transport. They do have 2+ save, which is great, but they have 2 wounds. So you get, you know, that's what they make up on. Yeah, they might fail a 2+ save, and we've all done that with Terminators, but that's fine because they just lose a wound. They don't actually, you know, die, which is awesome. And the same for the knobs. They all have 2 wounds. Stats wise, they're almost on par with the Space Marine, almost. Obviously they've got that extra wound, but their leadership and their save and their initiative and their ballistic skill is obviously all lower. So you really want to get in there and swamp your enemy, and you know, but just bear in mind that initiative. You've always got to keep an eye on it, that the other force may go first. They've got their normal slugger choppers, and they can take quite a few things. They can all take heavy armour, which I think is great. They can take boss pole, war bikes, you know, war banners. They can, any model can take items from ranged and melee. They're more than a Space Marine, but they're not as good. However, they do have that extra wound. So just bear that in mind. Running these, it's up to you. I mean, they are cheap elites, really, and they may well do some damage. But again, you know, they might go well up against Space Marines. They might, but it's not guaranteed. Whereas Mega knobs, that is probably guaranteed. You might want to run them against heavy armoured units and much more armoured units. So knobs, it's touch and go. It depends on the squad size, but there we go. That's the knobs and the Mega knobs. Obviously the Mega knobs have got that 2+ save, which is a huge increase, and they can actually take a battle wagon as a dedicated transport. So running, you know, a load of these in a battle wagon would be incredible. This video is going to be quite long actually, really, but we've only got two more units to really talk about, and that's the Commandos and the Boss Nikrot. Boss Nikrot, the Green Ghost, he kind of to do with the Commandos, so I can see why they put them on similar pages. But Commandos have obviously got this stealth and move through cover and infiltrate and furious charge. So, you know, they're quite good. They're quite cheap. They're kind of like the ultimate scouts, really. You put these up against scouts, I'm pretty sure they'd chop them to pieces. But yeah, they're quite good models. I haven't really, you know, decided to get any or thought about it. But I might do in the future. They seem quite useful, especially if you want to do like a hit and run attack, and you can give them like some okay weapons, and they're good for the start of the game. Boss Nikrot, again, he's more of a commando type special character. He's got the same kind of weapons and things. He's obviously he's a bit better in combat, like you would think, more attacks, and he's got some nice special rules there. He's pretty cheap as well, really, for the rules that he comes with. So that might be an option. I mean, I know there are plenty of people that have Commandos and they have Boss Nikrot as part of the same thing, as one kind of tank unit. So that's that really. That's those units. What I would have liked to have seen, which is just baffles me slightly, is one, the looters in heavy support, whereas in the old codex they used to be in elites. Now I get why they're in heavy support, because they've got the big weapons and they sit at the back and they shoot with their range 48 weapons. Right, I get that. Okay, so you can keep them in heavy support. But the thing that was missing in elites, which I found is just very strange, is the flash kits. I would think that looters are more heavy support, but flash kits with their assault weapons, nah, I'm sorry, I don't buy that whatsoever. I think that these flash kits here, they're knobs. They're knobs with shinier guns, and another thing they can't take, even though they've got like plates of armour there, you know, they're kind of well armoured in a way for an orc, they can't take heavy armour, and that's another thing that I'm sure that they missed. I'm sure. How is it that you've got these normal orc knobs, they can have heavy armour, but the flash kits can't? It just seems, you know, these are supposed to be the richest kind of orcs because they've got the best, shiniest weapons, but yet they can't even afford heavy armour, or they can't get anyone to strap them. Maybe they prefer to look good rather than actually look good for... They rather look good for a short amount of time, put it that way. But that really baffles me why flash kits are not in elites, because my opinion is they should have been. Whereas in the old codex, flash kits are a heavy support, but that is strange. I just don't understand why that is, but I'll talk about more of that when we talk about heavy support later. Anyway, so that has been the elite section. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, stay tuned, because tomorrow you'll be treated to fast attack, I believe, and there are some good units in fast attack. So join me for that video. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks for joining me. Take care.